Hey, yo, welcome to the Geauxlden Boot Podcast. It's your boy Pooh Bear, aka your mama's favorite fat boy. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy,
Yes,
D.
sir.
Williams Daniel, and Chris Honey Bun in the building. We're here to bring y'all all the latest on Louisiana sports and also talk about a little few things going on around the country. First off, how everybody doing this evening?
Let's go. How y'all doing, man? I'm good, bro. Up here in
Man,
the
Doing
3-1
good.
great. We doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm in
Doing
Tulsa.
good.
I'm in
South
Oklahoma,
Louisiana,
man.
baby.
so we don't have much to talk about. Ain't nothing happening in Louisiana lately. So
Nothing.
Slow day.
nothing at all. Slow day, slow
So
weekend.
No
Yeah,
news.
but
I mean,
not much to talk about. But let's go ahead and get started. Wait a minute. Will Wade is fired for level 1 violations and multiple level 1 violations spanning from 2017 until 2019. The future of LSU basketball is looking a little bleak. Daniel, what you got, man? What you got?
Man, this is one of the reasons why you don't hire a young coach, in my opinion. Honestly, Wade had it coming. You know, if you're gonna do dirt, the last thing you want to do is, pretty much flip off the FBI and tell them come get me. And then not only that, you can kind of play the drop of fun flex. He lied. He lied to us, man. He had us backing us, and that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Bad
And
business.
man, what you got? I know you said a couple things on Twitter. Kind of got the crowd rocking, man. What's your opinion on this?
Man, my thing about it is pretty much kind of like what Dan said, bro. I get it, everybody cheats, you know what I mean? But not everybody did it as brazen and as bold as Will Wade. Not everybody told the NCAA, come find it, you know what I mean, and not cooperate and not comply, and basically didn't even comply with his own school. But you remember back when he was suspended, that's what he was suspended for. So I think it was only a matter of time. Whenever you that cocky with it, when you that bold with it, it's only a matter of time before backfiring. Especially whenever you continue doing it after you've been caught the first time. You know what I mean? It's only a matter of time. So I'm not surprised.
Right. Everybody keeps talking about, especially LSU fans, what happened at other schools. We keep hearing about Kentucky. We keep hearing about Duke. We keep hearing about North Carolina or Kansas or Auburn or whoever else. But again, we can't worry about what's going on at other schools. Chris, I know. Oh, I believe originally you were, kind of saying we shouldn't fire Will Wade. We should keep Will Wade. Will Wade is we're gonna go 8-25. With everything going on, man, this not only affected the basketball team, this put the football team at risk. What say you, man? What's on your mind? How do you still feel that this was a bad move, getting rid of Will Wade? Saying with everything going on and
I just
everything
thought
we
it
know
was
now.
I just thought it was a bad move to do it before the tournament. But I thought he should have been fired after the tournament instead of before. But
Okay, and
we
when you
got
say the
caught
tournament, we
red-handed,
talking
so
about
they
do you mean SEC
the
or
NCAA
NCAA tournament?
NCAA. Yeah.
Okay, so and I get what you're saying. A lot of people say he should have been fired in 2017 when Joe Oliva, tried to suspend him.
Right.
Yeah. So, and
But
I
I
think
will
I
say
don't.
this though.
Yeah.
But I heard Ant said, "What is two more games? Like if we ain't gonna make it to the round of 32, that's it. It really didn't matter." So I kind of changed. He kind of changed my mind for me. So I did the right thing.
Yeah. With that,
I got a tidbit too, man. If
go ahead.
if you don't mind. So I want to play a little quick guess the coach. I kind of made a reference to why you don't want to why you don't want to hire a young guy. So I'm gonna give you the resume and y'all guess who this coach is. All right. So tight ends coach at Ole Miss for 1 year. right? He was the head coach at Lambeth for 1 year. Also the OC for Arkansas State for 1 year. He was the head coach for Arkansas State for 1 year. Then he was the head coach for Ole Miss for 4 years. Who you think?
I was going to say Gus Malzahn until you said head coach at Ole Miss.
Houston Nut?
Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze. Thank you. The reason why I bring
the
reason why I bring up that point is because if you look at Will Wade's history as far as his coaching career, it's very similar. He was the Harvard assistant. VCU assistant, Chattanooga head coach for 2 years, VCU head coach for a couple of years. Then he came to LSU. Let me
piggyback off that. Yeah. What both of these coaches did was they came into the game ran by blue blood coaches who had been playing the game for years.
Right.
They came in and they tried to throw a wrench in the game and do things their way, and flip the monopoly board around a little bit. You know what I mean? And the guys like the blue bloods who've been doing this for years, they don't take too kindly to some young buck, coming in and trying to change the way the game been played when they had to work all these years to get the game like that. You know what I mean? So I think when you look at those two coaches, there's a lot of parallels in that. You got a young guy, Will Wade, who came in, getting all these recruits to come to LSU that nobody expected, paying players or however he did it. And then you got Hugh Freeze. If y'all remember, he had the #1 recruiting class at Ole Miss, getting Kim Dichie and Treadwell and them guys in. And that's whenever you're like, hold on, how does Ole Miss get, the #1 recruiting class in the country? Something can't be right. And then next thing you know, he's getting popped. So it's a lot of similarity. It's a lot of similarities in that whenever you come in and you try to, mess up the establishment, so to say, there's a lot of repercussions that's gonna come your way.
Yeah, I mean, you got to come in the right way, man. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, if you're going to get some tutoring, you probably need to go to some bigger programs before you take this big job.
Well, it ain't not just that. That's true, but not just that. If you're gonna try to come in and you're gonna try to mess up with these other other schools been doing, you might not want to be such a cocky a-hole while you're doing it. You know what I mean? Because you just painting a bigger target on your back.
Right. No, I agree. 100%.
Yeah. It's funny. I never even, looked at the parallel between, Hugh Freeze and Will Wade. But with that said, I think that's a good sign. Will Wade can bounce back. He's not done. And I know I brought it up yesterday in Spaces, Rick Pitino. He's definitely not as good a coach as Rick Pitino. So that's not what I'm saying. But Rick Pitino committed some pretty bad violations at a few stops, and he's still going, and he still has the backing of several people wherever he goes. So Will Wade's not done. And LSU basketball team isn't done.
He's only 39.
Yeah. I hate that the Will Wade news kind of, when we first started talking about, things we would talk about today, there was it was some bright spots. We've got Tari Eason, 6th man of the year for the SEC. He was also first team all SEC. Darius Days was second team all SEC. Brandon Murray was all freshman team. And things were looking promising. Eric Gaines had turned the corner. Sharif has been, balls on fire, playing out of his mind these last few games. And he's looked like what we thought he'd look like it from the beginning, but it was all overshadowed. And even with that, LSU is now it was announced earlier, they're a 6th seed going to play in the Midwest region against Iowa State. Coach Nickelberry.
Correct.
I was gonna say Nickelback, but I don't know any songs. I can't think of any Nickelback songs, and thank God.
Look at his photograph.
Hey, that's what they're gonna be doing. You know the Wolverine meme when he's in the bed looking at the photograph. They're gonna be looking at a photograph of Will Wade. You know,
that's how the past players looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of players, with this happening, even if they bring in, first of all, who do you bring in? You know, how do you do you wait? When do you bring them in? Do you wait until you find out your punishment, or do you bring them in with the, hey, we're gonna back you, give you everything you can to get through this? And what do you do?
I think you got to do. I think you got to do the latter. You know what I mean? Because who knows how long it's gonna be before you figure out these punishments. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you go ahead and get the next guy, and you tell him, look, depending on how bad these these punishments and penalties are, then we'll give you an extra 2 years, extra 3, depending on what case may be, depending on how bad the penalties are. So I think whoever you hire, they're gonna know, they know what's coming. It's not a surprise. They know that you're about to get punished. So I think you just go ahead and make the hire, and you just kind of give them a little longer leash, depending on how bad the penalties are. But as far as who you hire, that's tough, because we all know Scott Woodward's MO is, big game hunting. He wants to go after that big name. So there's been some people, names thrown out, like Scott Drew at Baylor. That's an interesting name, considering, you just took their women's coach last year. Do you go take the men's coach too?
Hey, they took a random.
How was the relationship between him and Mocha? You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff you had to think about.
But
you got people who mentioned Tony Bennett from Virginia, who's a championship winning coach. He's kind of had a couple of down years there, so maybe you can get him. The only thing about him, he's a defensive coach. Scott Woodward usually likes offensive minded guys. And I throw a name out there that a lot of people haven't really mentioned, but it's a guy at Murray State. I can't remember his name right now, but the guy at Murray State, I know it's the risk you take of going with a mid-major, but with the penalties that you have, you know what I mean, you might need to go that route. But the thing about this guy is he's not a Will Wade mid-major guy. You know what I mean? He's been there for a while. He's cut his teeth there. He's had them in the tournament, year in, year out. He's shown that he's a proven winner.
So I think McMahon.
That's the guy.
But is LSU the LSU basketball team? I don't want to say the wrong word. Do they have the prestige to go get a coach from a big Power 5 school? Like
LSU,
you just stole the second best. Well, I ain't gonna say stole, but you just took the second best women's coach in the country from Baylor, and LSU women's basketball don't have that much prestige. So when you talking about dollar signs, bro, that's really all that matters. And especially the guy from Murray State, because he's at a mid-major. So if the chance for him to come to the big boys, Power 5, he might take that chance.
Yeah, but do you want to go that route again, though?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this.
That's
to
Chris' point.
To Chris' point. At LSU, if you can prove you can win, they'll put money behind you. Look at a lot of people that didn't know, but the beach volleyball team, they're winning, and LSU starting to put some money behind them and show them a lot of class. I
love that beach volleyball,
team.
Bro.
Oh, gymnastics.
Them gymnastics. Last year, I went to Alabama holds the state track championship at Gulf Shores, and it was a week before the NCAA beach volleyball championship. So I was down there and I saw all the nets and stuff. I was like, man, I was like, I didn't realize that they were playing the Gulf Shores, and when it came on, I watched it, and my 5-year-old, he comes in, he was like, "Oh, Daddy, we were just there." I was like, "Yeah, we were just there." So it's first of all, it's nice, it's beautiful down there, and the games, to watch the game, to see how full that beach was. People are, I mean, and you're playing against UCLA, USC, Florida State, and UCLA and USC, I know, are perennial, champions and stuff. And to see LSU there, and pretty much they were a set point away from moving on to the championship. So, like I said, if they will put money behind it. But yeah, speaking of basketball, and kind of moving on from Will Wade, which we kind of have to. Where do we go from here? And I know we kind of mentioned it, but when I say where do we go, we got to think about all the players we could potentially lose. The transfers. I mean, the only person who I think really has a tie to stay, or who has a bond with LSU outside of Will Wade is Sharif.
Well, I will say this though. The thing about it is, some of these guys transferred in, like Adam Miller, and do they get to because if they transfer again, they got to sit out. And then for a guy like Adam Miller, that would mean sitting out back-to-back seasons. You know what I mean? Right. So does he transfer? Does the NCAA give him a waiver to where you lost your coach so you can transfer without penalty? I think a guy like Efton Reed is definitely gone, most likely. He's a wanted man. So, and that's another thing. Do you keep a guy like Nickelberry for a year? As kind of the bridge coach to maybe keep some of the roster together, keep some of the recruiting class together, and then hire the guy you want next season and let him, build on what Nickelberry kind of held together this next season. So there's a lot of ways you can look at it for what Woodward could do. And honestly, I don't know where we go right now. It really depends on the penalties, and it depends on like the way Woodward wants to address it. Does he want a bridge coach, or does he want to go ahead and get his next guy in the building and let him just build it from the bottom up?
I think, in my opinion, I think you should wait, to see what exactly happens as far as, sanction goes. How are we going to be on probation? If we are, how long we're going to be on probation? And then I think as a coach coming in, like you said earlier, you want to know that, But in my opinion, I know, basketball is probably going to be hit pretty hard. But I honestly want to know, how bad is this going to affect our football program? This is my thoughts. I know we did a lot to try to stay ahead of it, but, can we get away scot-free?
Yeah, scot-free. That's funny. We talked about on Spaces. Shout out to Twitter Spaces, LSU Twitter Spaces. That brought us together. Right. The idea to do this. But we talked about it on Twitter Spaces. What do you sacrifice? As far as to save the football program, and we see, I'm not going to say Will Wade is a sacrificial lamb, because he's not. It's his doing. But he was not going to be. He was not. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, because I respect him as a coach. Some of the things he did, strategy wise. I saw different. I'm not a true basketball X and O's guy, but I know wrong when I see wrong. He was not. He had not won enough for us to warrant, or to warrant. Trying to think, y'all get what I'm saying. He hadn't won enough to, or done enough to warrant sacrificing the football team for. Nobody does. Football is your cash cow. Football is your athletic budget,
right?
For the most part.
And looking at his record, he had one of the highest winning percentage records out of probably since the 1920s. and you're talking about guys who coached 10 games. I think it was like a 67% winning percentage, in his career with LSU. So that's pretty impressive. But kind of like what you said. We talking about football. This LSU. This is what we're known for the most part. And you can't ruin that. That's our baby.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. The football stadium has gotten several renovations.
Yeah. Right.
The PMAC got a scoreboard.
Right.
The football stadium got many renovations.
Hey, how many locker rooms they got?
Let's see. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you though. Like I don't think it's necessarily sacrificing him for the football team as much as it is like when you look at them the NOA, bro. He had to go. Like it wasn't to save the football program from any punishments because I don't really think that they're gonna get hit too hard, based off of the self-imposed penalties already and stuff along them lines. But
we haven't even talked about him paying players from his wife's account.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And
It
ain't just that though, bro. But it's like you paying hush money to what I mean, the fiance of a player and stuff. Like when you get that far down the line, bro, like there's a point of no return. You gotta go. And at this point, like you have no choice but to get rid of him because if you don't, the NCAA is gonna make them penalties even more severe because you don't see it as a big deal because you keeping him around. You had to let him go, bro.
Yeah.
You had to let him go, bro.
The longest book I've ever read was Barack Obama's Promised Land. It's like 800 pages, something like that. The second longest was that NOA. They had a lot of information.
Bro.
They had a lot of information on Will Wade.
Hey, what I told you earlier, Pooh, like you can sum this whole Will Wade saga up with one quote, bro, from Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
You either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that's exactly what happened to Will Wade. Whenever he first happened, he was the hero. Everybody at LSU loved him. You know what I mean? He's the American gangster, all this kind of stuff. But once the NOA came out, at this point, bro, you the villain. Ain't no way we can defend you anymore.
And you playing a dangerous game. You quoting comic books. When I start throwing some Star Wars at you, don't say that.
Hey, I'm out my league at that point, bro. I'm out my league.
But hey, so do we want to expand on the NOA or are we ready to move on? Because
we could be here for 3 hours talking about 100%.
All right, so LSU and let's move on.
You got one basketball program doing this, and you got the other basketball program doing this. So you know what I mean, like
in a year, bro.
So it's crazy.
Historically, it ain't never been going up.
Yeah, say that one more time, Chris.
Historically, the women's basketball isn't the women's basketball team better, like historically.
You know what? You bring up a good point.
You can make an argument.
I'll say
at least in my lifetime, you can make that argument.
Yeah. I will say this. Last year, the women's team won 10 games, if that.
I think it was somewhere.
They are at what this year?
27.
Jeez, and they are a 3. It's funny. LSU women's team is a 3 seed this year compared to last year. They are a 3 seed this year, and we're looking at. Man. I'm looking at that like, coaching. They got snubbed. I'm like they should be a 2 seed.
I agree.
Yeah, they should be. They should be a 2 seed.
He also should have won Women's Coach of the Year.
That's
Coach of the Year.
Was that just as bad as your boy? Not winning.
I know where you're going. There's Stingley
award.
No, you're talking about Damone Clark not getting the Buckets.
Damone.
I think this worse because you could at least argue the reason why Damone Clark ain't get the Buckets is because of his team's record. You know what I mean? But I mean, LSU women had a great record, so it's not like you know what I mean. Like, what's the reason why you saying she don't deserve it?
25-5, bro. 25-5.
And the crazy thing about it, I remember those losses. But the first with Florida Gulf Coast, I remember it was early in the season. I was like, well, maybe they're, you know what I'm saying, it's a rebuilding year. And then they went on a run. Yep. The South Carolina game was close. The who was the second loss? Florida. Was it Florida in the SEC? I think it was either Florida or Florida or Mizzou, something like that. So that's 3. Then you had they had a ugly loss late in the season that, I mean, but still, and then the tournament, the loss in the tournament, SEC tournament.
I mean,
Let
they
me
play
ask
so
y'all
many
this.
games, man.
Let me ask y'all this: if LSU women beat South Carolina, does Kim Mulkey win the Coach of the Year?
Yep.
Yes.
Probably because there were only been 2 losses. They couldn't give it.
Well, no, it ain't just that.
woman.
She'd have the head over Don, the person who won it. So it's kind of hard to get. You know what I mean?
So I guess in the women's, they don't play. I don't know this because I'm not a basketball guy, but they don't play the SEC teams twice. Like
not in basketball at all. Not in basketball at all. Like this year, we only played Auburn once in men's basketball. You know, it's a lot different than football. You only play everybody once. You only play everybody once, and then certain people you play twice, depending on your matchups and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
I'm guessing we played Alabama twice because they kind of
played Alabama twice. We played Kentucky twice. We played Arkansas twice.
It's based off where you finish in your in the conference the year before, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna say this, and it's not that I don't like. I mean that it's a personal. I prefer not to play Alabama twice a year. I would love to play Florida twice. It's just me personally.
I'm scared, bro.
No, it's a hatred. It's a hatred thing, man.
Oh yeah, because you from Bama though. Right?
Yeah, so I don't hate it, and let me go ahead and put this out there. I don't hate Bama fans. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I don't hate Bama as a team. It's I'm annoyed by Bama fans, but I think that's just because a proximity thing. Because they're always messing with me because everywhere I go, I got LSU gear on. I hate LSU gear, but yeah. But let's we talking about the women's team. They played Jackson State in the first round, which saying congratulations to Jackson State. They won the SWAC tournament. Johnny Jones, a name we're all familiar with, and Texas Southern won the men's side of the SWAC tournament. Then you got Norfolk State, who beat Coppin State yesterday, and that was it was a really good game. That was a really good game. And then Howard women, I think this is their first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. So congratulations to those HBCUs that made it.
Johnny Jones in the same bracket as LSU, as a matter of fact.
I would love to see.
And that's back to back. that's back to back tournaments for one Johnny Jones, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, bring him back, bro. Bring him back.
So here's the thing, because I'm glad you said that, Daniel. The comparison of and what it keeps coming back to Will Wade, but the comparison of why a lot of people want Will Wade was he's not Johnny Jones. We can go back to Johnny Jones. That's all we kept hearing. We can go back to Johnny Jones. Right. But here it is. He's at Texas Southern. He's back to back. And then it's not like they just won the tournament and they're in because of that. They beat Florida early in the year, and it wasn't like a sneaky win. They blew Florida. I remember that game. Florida was a 25-point favorite, and they beat Florida by 13.
Yeah, they the best team in the SWAC, hands down. It's not even close, bro. He's got that team rolling, and if I'm not mistaken, how many tournament wins does Will Wade have?
I think like 2 or 3. It's pretty bad.
I think at LSU he has 1.
What was Johnny Jones
in his career? Yeah, it's like 2 or 3.
He has 1.
What was
He's made the tournament. He's made the tournament 3 times. What's up, Chris?
What was Johnny Jones' downfall, y'all think? We all know what Will Wade is. What was his?
He was, so I'm looking at Johnny Jones stats now. He was his first year he was 19-12, but it's his first year. Second year he was 20-14. Then he was 22-11. Then he was 19-14. Then he was 10-21.
His downfall was he had Ben Simmons, the number 1 player in the country, a
And
number
we
one
didn't make
draft
the
pick overall,
didn't
and
make
you
the
didn't make,
tournament.
and you don't make the tournament, and
We
they didn't go to the NIT because the
Yeah.
players didn't want to go to the NIT. So that's part of his downfall. But I think one of the bigger things about it is, and I think I mentioned this on Twitter Spaces yesterday, Johnny Jones is an old school coach. You know what I mean? And whenever you got the Ben Simmons and the Antonio Blakeney's and the you know, those higher profile, you know, Brandon Sampson, those higher profile guys, they don't really want that. You know what I mean? They don't want that coach that's gonna give them pushback. They want the guy that's gonna stroke that ego. And that's one thing that Will Wade does do. He's a good players coach. And that's why he gets a lot of these, you know, higher profile recruits. But I think Johnny Jones just couldn't get the buy-in from some of them guys, and that's why you didn't see that talent translate into wins.
I mean, could you also make a point like, you have a guy who's a great practice player, you know, and whenever it's time to go in the game, they kind of fold. You know, the lights are too big.
That's part of it, because if you look at that Oklahoma game, when Ben Simmons was here, he did not want it. When he didn't want the ball, he didn't want when the pressure was on and the moment was big, he shied away from it. So you can't make a guy, you know what I mean, go want it and go take over a game. You can't make a guy do that. So I think to a certain degree,
barely eligible when he was at LSU.
I think, yeah, we all know he didn't come here to play school. He only came to LSU because he had to. So like that's another thing. When you got a guy, you can't make a guy take over the game. You can't make a guy have that dog in him. And so I think Johnny Jones kind of gets unfairly criticized for Ben Simmons not being that, you know what I mean, that killer on the court.
Yeah, I'm looking at his record at Texas Southern as well, since we already
spit out in the
NBA. So for at Texas Southern, 24-14 his first year. Then he was 16-16. He was 17-9. That's the COVID year, of course. And then this year is 18-12. So, yeah.
What's his conference records during those years? Does it show?
It doesn't show. I can pull those up in a second. Give me a second.
Because you know when you at a you know he's playing the non-conference games like the Floridas and, you know, those bigger non-conference games. So his record's gonna be skewed a little bit by that, but that conference record's gonna show how good he is with, you know, on a level playing field.
Yeah, well, Johnny Jones. We talk about Johnny Jones, man.
That's how. Hey, that's and who faulted that? You know.
Thank you, Wade.
Exactly. Will Wade did it to us, dog.
Right.
That's funny.
We went from being a basketball school a few months ago to about to be a death penalty basketball program.
Right. Hey, but thank God for the transfer portal, man. For real. What you got, Pooh?
I'm trying to. So conference records. Don't list one for that year. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it.
It ain't that serious. As long as we just know that he made the tournament back-to-back years, so he ain't a terrible coach. But that's another thing though that proves the point that Will Wade will be able to bounce back. You know what I mean? Like Johnny Jones was maligned whenever he left here. He ain't a good coach, this, that, and the other, and he bounced back. So I can see Will Wade landing at a lower tier school and kind of working his way back up to the P5 level eventually.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Johnny Jones and HBC, in the SWAC alone, Reggie Theus is coaching at Bethune-Cookman. Mo Williams is at Alabama State.
Yeah.
So
Mo Williams just got hired at Jackson State.
Really?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Well.
There's Jackson State. Jackson State's trying to build a celebrity coaching, you know what I'm saying, coaching circle.
Yeah. So
I got a question for y'all. Could y'all see Bronny James playing at Jackson State since Mo Williams is the coach?
I could see it. Because I mean he doesn't need a big university, you know, for exposure.
Well, see, Bron always said it would be Duke, but since Coach K's gone now, I think that changes things. You know, and since Mo Williams and LeBron were teammates, He got a good relationship with him. You know, I always said it was gonna be Juwan Howard in Michigan because of Juwan and LeBron's, you know, connection. But
I can't see
not
LeBron sending any of his kids to Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. The Ohio State connection. Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's why I say Jackson State sounds a little better. Plus, we don't know if
Howard might not be there much longer.
Bingo. That's another good point, Chris. That was my other point.
Hands rated E for everybody.
Yeah, he has no filter.
Listen, that dude, the funniest part about that it wasn't even a punch. It was like
it was a slap, bro.
It was a slap face. He tried to mush him and just come here. It was that. I ain't gonna go on that tangent. I was gonna ask you. I'm giving y'all something to think about though. At what point, at what age do you get old man strength? I'm gonna leave that alone.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Hey, let me ask y'all this.
Mm-hmm.
So since we're talking about HBCUs, segue a little bit to the other side of HBCU football, and you got Deion doing what he doing over there. You got the whole Grambling situation with a revolving door of coaches. Hey, and
sexual
FYI.
fitness.
So you know this is the third offensive coordinator, right? The first offensive coordinator was hired as a quarterbacks coach by the Texans, I believe, and then then you had the Art Browse who resigned. Now you got John Simons being promoted. This is also his third strength coach, Hugh Jackson. He had two of them got hired off by different colleges. So it's not only a revolving door of offensive coordinators. You got a revolving door at other positions on the staff also. And I talked to a guy inside the building at Grambling, and he said that there is a lot of I'm trying to word for it. There's a lot of noise, I guess is what you could say. There's a lot of noise within the program, but the players seem to be responding well to Hugh, and there seems to be a lot of buy-in from the players, and the way he's doing it kind of seems to be a change of energy. But as far as the Browns situation, I think the players are kind of over it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's more of a bigger deal to the fan base and to the outside people than it is to the people inside the building. And I think the people in the building are just ready to, move to something else. They got their spring game next week or the week after. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, so they've already started. They've already started spring practice and all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to shift the focus, to actual on the field, stuff. So. I think even though it's been kind of a a roller coaster for these first few months for Hugh, I think Grambling is starting to kind of trend upwards with Hugh. So we'll see how that goes with John Simon and him. But it's the sweat gonna be interesting, brother.
I think too to go to your Grambling point, as a player, you're not worrying about what the media is saying. It's a fishbowl. Once you get in with your brothers, it's the off season. You're ready to go. So they're ready to see who, like you said, John. They're ready for their next OC, and let's get to work. They're probably not paying attention to the headlines.
But I will say that I heard some good things about some of the transfer players that they got in from some of these bigger schools. They got Oregon, UCLA transfers. They got transferred from Southern Utah receiver. So, and then they had that other freshman quarterback they had last year, who's shown a lot of improvement and development in the offseason. So, it should be pretty good for them this year, and maybe with them, maybe they'll be able to kind of be the threat to Jackson State and what Deion building over there.
Speaking of transfer portal, that's a good segue to something that Deion said. He had a clip from, I think it was he was on with a Big Cat and Barstool, and he talked about they're not even looking at high school players anymore. Not really. Yeah. He said that they looked at 4 high school players. Travis Hunter was one. They had I think, number one wide receiver. That's another, and then I'm not sure about the other two, and everybody else was transfer portal.
Yeah.
Is the transfer portal? Is that the saving grace for HBCUs? Is that how they bounce back and build that brand of football? I know, as you know, LSU fans, we have mixed feelings about the transfer portal. But what about as a HBCU fan?
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, as an LSU fan, I would say this: I don't have a problem at all with the transfer portal because I mean, look what BK has done. He's completely rebuilt our football team in a span of 3 months. So, if anything, from an HBCU level, I think it's a great tool. If you want to compete for championships and that's the goal, and you want to get eyes on the television because you're producing you have a good product, I think it's a plus. I don't think it's bad at all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And but I'd add to that what Dion said isn't just applicable to HBCUs.
Right.
Like the program right here where I'm at, Monroe, ULM, they signed one high school kid. Some got an offensive lineman from Florida. Other than that, all transfers.
Wow.
Because I think it's some of these programs at these lower levels, especially at like a Jackson State or a Grambling, where you're trying to win. You don't really have time to develop. Then you want a guy who's more experienced. You want the guy who's already had college experience and college reps. So you go after more of the transfer portal guys than you do the high school guys. Like at LSU or Alabama, to where you have the luxury of being able to sit that guy on the bench for a couple years and develop him, where you can take more high school guys. And like you say, whenever you're trying to do a roster, you got a lot of roster turnover. You're trying to build back a roster from nothing. You need guys that can come in and contribute immediately, and that's what the transfer portal does. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing at the same time because, like you say, somebody's got to get hurt by it, and it's those high school guys. But because that high school guys are getting overlooked. But I would say this though. They're getting overlooked by some schools, but that just means there's more JUCOs. There's more lower level schools. You might not be able to go to the school you want to go to right out of high school, but go to a JUCO for a year, then transfer. Go to a small FCS school for a year, then transfer. It's ways to get to where you want to go now with the transfer portal. It just ain't the same. It ain't the traditional route.
Let me ask you this too. I mean, isn't it kind of short-sighted for you to build your team with players who only have maybe 1 or 2 years of eligibility? Don't you kind of turn into like a JUCO?
Yeah.
It's a free agency,
and I think that's true. Both of y'all are right, but at the same time, I think a lot of people, like, it's a misconception when it comes to the transfer portal that they only have 1 or 2 years left. You know what I mean? Like you got some guys who transfer after a red shirt season. They have 4 years left. Right. You know what I mean? You got some guys who transfer, like a guy we're going to talk about here in a minute, who's got 2 years left to play in 3 years. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So you're not just getting a guy for 1 or 2 years. Like, you look at some of the guys LSU's got at the transfer portal this year, or Wes Weeks, you know what I mean, or Miles Frazier. Those guys have multiple years to be able to play. So you can go to the transfer portal and still get a guy who can be there for 3 or 4 years, just like you would have a high school guy who's going to be there for 3 or 4 years. The only difference is this guy's got a year or two of college experience under his belt already.
Makes sense.
So we have seen a lot of kids go P5 to P5, or shall I say, big conference to big conference. We've seen that a lot. We've seen some guys go, saying P5 group of 5, or go to FCS. You don't see many guys going FCS to, Power 5 or group of 5 or anything like that. Do we start seeing that, where a guy has gone to, since we say it's kind of like a JUCO, you see a guy go to, let's say, a Jacksonville State, proves himself, looks good, and then bounces up. I mean, I know we saw it with Jabril Cox, just to prove that he can play, at a higher level. But do we start seeing more of that?
I don't know if you see it from FCS to P5, but look at a guy like Miles Frazier. You know what I mean? Like you see a guy like Tremont Shorts who did jump from FCS to P5. You know what I mean? So yeah, you will that here and there you will see some, but I think for the most part you'll see more of the guys going from that G5, that group of 5 to the P5, or a guy going from FCS to G5. You know what I mean? I think that's what you'll see more than that big jump. Yeah. But not to say that guys won't make that big jump. But if a guy does make a big jump like that, I think it'll be a Jabril Cox or Tremont Shorts, a guy who's done it FCS 3 years and only is coming to the P5 for his last season.
Or I mean, you got guys who play their freshman year and they become freshman All-Americans. Like some of the guys that we got. So I think if you're gonna go after guys in the transfer portal, it's going to create more opportunities for those guys to get more playing time at the lower level and improve themselves there.
All right. Well, so we talked about going, group 5 to group of 5 and power 5 to power 5. What about going Arizona State to LSU? LSU signed Jayden Daniels.
Let's go.
He's expected to arrive in mid-March when his graduate program will allow him to enroll. He's immediately available for playing time. He has 3 years of eligibility left due to the COVID situation. 3 years of eligibility left, but he can only play 2.
Let me say this, Pooh, real quick. I don't think quarterbacks in the QB room at LSU are going to be probably doing hip thrusting videos any longer. I'm just saying. I think you probably want to go work.
That brought me to my. I'm glad that brought me to my next question. Why would you bring in another quarterback? I've got my ideas on it. That was and we saw a lot of. Kind of, celebratory, saying tweets, happy. Oh, we got, Jayden Daniels, man. Oh, 10, 11 wins, we on the way, saying, then you saw we don't need a running quarterback. We don't need, yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
So, again, I got my opinion on it. Why would you want another quarterback at LSU right now? You've got Miles. Just so those who don't know, the quarterback room prior to Jayden Daniels, you got Miles, you've got Nuss, and you've got Walker Howard. So, why would you want another quarterback?
You wanted it?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I got it after you.
All right.
I'll go last.
All right. There's several reasons, bro. For one, you have a combined 3 starts out of your quarterback room right now before Jayden Daniels. Right. You have a guy in Miles Brennan who looked good in the 3 games he did start, but he's had an injury pretty much every year he's been at LSU. So
but he threw for 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns.
He did. Then he got hurt and missed the rest of the season after that, and then he missed all of the next season also. So he hasn't played in 2 years. So what is he gonna be? Is he gonna be the same Miles Brennan that we saw throw for 1,100 yards in 3 games? Or is he gonna be, a shell of that?
With the transitive property.
Then you got Nussmeier who played limited.
I'm just saying.
You got Nussmeier who played in limited minutes or snaps last year and didn't look great. I think he still needs a lot of work, and I don't know if you really want to count on him. And then you got Walker Howard, who's coming off an injury, and who said his plan is to, redshirt for the year and kind of just get healthy and learn the ropes. So that right there in itself, availability and experience is one reason why you go after another quarterback. And the second reason why you go after a quarterback is because if you listen to what Mike Denbrock said, he said he wants a mobile quarterback. And of the quarterbacks that we got on our roster, mobility goes Walker Howard. Then you got a big old gap in Nussmeier number 2. and then you got a Grand Canyon of a gap, and Miles Brennan is number 3.
Hey, let me say this too, eh? Let me say this too. So Miles Brennan, in the year that he threw for 1,100 yards, guess how many rushing yards my man ran for?
I'm
gonna say negative something. It's negative something.
I was just about to say.
Negative 36.
Oh, I was going to say negative 25. I was
so sack yards do count for in college too. So you know, what I'm saying it's a little misleading. However,
but at the same time, sack yards count for Jayden Daniels too. And how many did he have? You see,
and he got sacked 26 times.
Exactly. So mobility is the reason why. How many times have we seen LSU playing? I don't know. Last year, Bo Nix. You got a guy who just extends the play with his legs and kills the defense. How many times did Joe Burrow do that in 2019, where it's 3rd and 5 and he, scrambles for 6-7 yards to keep the drive alive? Having a quarterback who can use his legs to extend the plays, not necessarily even just design quarterback runs, but just when his stuff breaks down and being able to get 3-4 yards here, not take a sack, be able to rush out of that and throw the ball away or make something out of nothing. Just all those little small hidden things that don't really show up is why you go get a Jayden Daniels.
And you know that, and Jayden Daniels, that's one of his best attributes. Is that is improvising. So
yep.
The year was 2020. I think it was like the 2nd, 3rd down against Mississippi State. And Miles drops back. He sees a lane. I saw the lane. He takes off running.
I saw this.
He didn't get far.
No.
The boy run like he got lead boots on and he in quicksand. You know what I mean? Like,
bro.
Yeah.
So I would say too. I mean, my boy Miles like to eat, biscuits. From what I understand, so,
it's funny. We had to beg him to put on weight, and then he put on weight. And
he put on now he look like a fullback.
Yeah, that boy went a little too far.
He listen, as a plus size man, I know a push up and a push back. He ain't pushing back from the table at all. So yeah.
He just got married too, right?
Oh, he's engaged.
He's engaged.
So imagine once he gets married, because I know you hear about that freshman 15. Well, when you get married, you get that freshman 50. So I mean, you get that marriage 50. That boy Miles been working out like this, bro. That's how that boy been working out.
Listen, I put on sympathy weight when my son was born.
Yeah,
I haven't pulled off sympathy weight from when my son was born.
Hey,
but
I get it. I understand.
But I let me ask y'all this though, since we're talking about Jayden Daniels and the whole situation. Why is the backlash because people just assumed that Miles was gonna just walk in and have the starting role, or is the pushback what we think some of it is that a certain faction of
you ain't got I'll say it. You ain't got to say it. He's getting a lot of pushback because he's black. It's a lot. There's a sector of fan base that they don't want a black quarterback. They're pushing the coded language. He's not a good decision maker. All he's going to do is run. We don't need a running quarterback. He's a dual threat.
And let's also be honest. He's not a good decision maker. AKA, he's not intelligent. He's not smart. Like,
let me say this though to the LSU fans who say the whole mobile dual threat. We don't need to run it. What do y'all think Walker Howard is? Do y'all think Walker Howard is a statue pocket passer quarterback? Do y'all not know that Walker Howard runs pretty well for a quarterback and that he's not scared to run?
No, let me say this. There's coded language on the other side. You know what they're going to say? He's sneaky athletic because they said it about Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
He's sneaky. Yeah. They said about what's my boy? That was before Burrow.
Are you talking about
came
Danny
from
Edlin?
Purdue? Danny Edlin. They said it about him. Vanilla Vic. When he was in Atlanta, Vanilla Vic, they say it's coded like, and when I say they, I'm not saying that in a in a all white people. What I'm saying is there
That
is a sector, there is a faction who, and they may not even realize they're doing it, but they repeat certain tropes, and it stands out. As a black man, we've been in spaces together, and somebody has said something, and I can tell that we all heard it the same way, because when you look, that speaker icon goes from unmute. Everybody's speaker icon unmutes, and we're arguing with each other. It's like, who gonna take this? Who gonna? Matter of fact, listen, I drew raffle this time. Anthony, you get me. Listen, we all hear it, and then there's people who you can tell, because there are other people who, some of the other, white people who are in the spaces, they hear it too. You can tell they hear it. They pick up on it, and they'll kind of push back and stuff. But they I appreciate that, because they'll speak up and be like, nah, that ain't right. They'll say, hey, this is wrong and stuff. We hear it, and we appreciate that.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff stands out.
Like, honestly, and I said, I don't mean to interrupt you, but real quick, I said I appreciate the people who try to understand. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate Blake Rufino.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. I appreciate Nurse. Nurse
Court.
Nurse
Court.
Annie. Shout out Nurse Court.
She'll jump out there.
My boy Al. My boy Al will too.
Yeah,
Al. Tiger Avenue,
appreciate it.
Sure.
But
go with his mysterious CIA.
Hey, let me say this though, because I don't want to make it seem like we don't think that people can criticize, Jayden Daniels as a player or anything like that. What we're saying is, whenever your critiques are at his character and not as him as a player, that's when it becomes a problem.
Especially he has no criminal background. Exactly. He's no problems and stuff.
He's shown it, and he's carried himself like a leader. You know what I mean? In all the interviews and interactions I've seen he had with media and everything like that. So for you to attack him as a person or attack his character as the reason why he shouldn't be an LSU quarterback, to me that's where it becomes a problem, because if we're gonna keep it football, keep it football. But whenever you start attacking a player and you start saying things like, oh, I heard this and I heard that, and you don't have any proof to back it up, that's a very dangerous game you're playing, and that's unfair to the player.
Well, not only that, Ant, I mean, LSU Stadium is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You walk out into in front of the stadium, you got a statue of Billy Cannon. He won the Heisman for us. You know what I'm saying? And we know his past. I mean, we know he made mistakes, but we give Billy Cannon grace.
Exactly.
So a lot of times, a lot of players, they mess up. Look at Tyrann Mathieu. He messed up. You know what I'm saying? And look at his story.
One of the biggest contributors.
One of the biggest redemption stories in sports too, though. Right. You know what I mean? So if we would have cast him off, when he first got kicked off the team or whatever, and just he's done.
And a lot of people did
stuff. Exactly. But I'm saying, if everybody treated him that way, you know what I mean, he would have never been able to make it where he's at. So I think that's what a lot of fans need to remember, bro. Is like, these are kids. I mean, technically they're adults, but you know what I mean. They're young adults, bro. You know what I mean. They 18 to 21.
I got another one for you.
Do fans do they want us to go back and look at what they did when they was 18 to 21 years old and start, critiquing what they did in their life?
Right.
I can't stand that Odell Beckham. I can't stand the stuff he does, and he's this and he's that. And
he should be banned for life.
Why does he say him University and not LSU? And then you got, speaking of redemption stories, Get Live Stables got in trouble, couldn't even play his senior year of high school football.
No, he played his senior year. He just got arrested during his senior
year. Get Live Stables, who's that?
That's Devin White. Devin White got arrested his senior year for some stuff that turned out to not be entirely true. And it could have cost him a whole, it could have cost him his entire future. And look at where he's at now.
The person he is. Not even just the player, the person he is.
The ambassador for the university.
I don't know. And I heard the story on I think Cody Worsham's of the Hey Fighting podcast. He interviewed with Devin during that championship run with Tampa Bay. He was going back to LSU and taking classes, and he got his degree. He finished up his degree then. So, back to
and before you wrap this up, I would like to say this too, man. Whenever we have players that are looking to come to LSU, you know, the first thing you want them to see is positive things about this, you know, about our university and the school and the team that we love and that we cheer for. So I would say, watch it, you know, that's embraced. Yeah, 100%. And that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast. Not all the time, but we are going to bring up some of those issues to make our fan base more aware, you know, because sometimes, honestly, people might not know what they're doing or what they're saying. So I think it's our duty to let you know, hey, you know,
from a different perspective, you know what I mean? From a different perspective, how we see some of these things.
Yeah, exactly.
So bring it back to Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
He's, you know, like I mentioned, he'll be here in March, late March or whatever, mid-March. He'll be here in another. We will have all 4 quarterbacks, right, starting for spring or playing, you know, for in the spring. Speaking of spring dates, practice starts on the 24th with the spring game on the 23rd of April, and also pro day. Pro day is going to be on the 6th of April. Mike Denbrock has, you know, not just Mike Denbrock, Joe Sloan, which that's who I'm really excited about.
Yes, sir.
Getting to see, you know, because I don't know. I know Ensminger worked with the quarterbacks, but having that, you know, saying which let me say this, Ensminger did not get nearly as enough credit for the, you know, saying what he did during 2019. He didn't get nearly enough credit for what he did in 2018. The best called game, the best two best called games that I know of in LSU history, from my point of view, since I've been a fan, Auburn in 2018, Georgia in 2018.
Yeah,
we went into Jordan-Hare with a game plan that just, I mean, was at least the first scripted drive, masterful.
Hey, while we on Steve Ensminger real quick, I just want to give him major respect. This man lost his daughter-in-law. And like I don't think a lot of us remember that, bro. This dude lost his daughter-in-law and then went out there and called a game, an SEC championship game, bro. And he called a heck of a game, bro. Yeah. Like, hey, salute to you, Steve, bro. Like, you don't get the credit you deserve, but we gonna give you your flowers, bro.
Hey, wasn't that the OU game?
OU, you still counting points. That's what's going on.
Was it OU or was it the Georgia SEC championship game?
No, it was the
I think it was the OU game.
It was the OU game because
they wanted him to put, if I'm not mistaken, they wanted him to pull off the throttle, and I could be wrong, but he kept going.
I can't remember. I think it was the I want to say it was the SEC championship.
Either way, both games was played in Georgia, so that's why I don't really know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, good point. That
was crazy. But yeah,
he did a great job. Yeah,
but sure, yeah, man. Sure. But you know, what I'm saying, as we digress, Joe Sloan, I'm man, to see him work with these quarterbacks, to have not just Joe Sloan, you got Denbrock, you know, with his record with dual threat quarterbacks. I went back and looked at when he was OC at at Notre Dame, and also when he was OC at Cincinnati. The highest, as far as, because you know, we again dual threat. What they perceive, he's just going to run get the quarterback. They're going to run the option. He's going to take.
It's going to be Lamar Jackson back there.
Yeah, the most passing yards that Eric Geauxlden had at Notre Dame was Mike Denbrock's first year. Looking at Ritter, his passing yards, well, they were kind of saying average, 2,000, 3,000, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he threw no less than 18 touchdowns every year. every year. And it was like, when I say no less, he threw like 18, 19, 20, and 37. I think he threw last year, or 30 or 37, something like that. So he's dialing it up. It's not just a drop back and run. He's dialing it up. And they were very, very unpredictable. I'll say that.
Balance.
I'll say that. So
balanced.
very balanced. I'm looking forward to seeing Mike Denbrock working with Joe Sloan. I know Coach Kelly's not going to let them, get way out of pocket as far as, saying too heavy on running or too heavy on passing. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. I would say, what I'm excited about as far as spring is, man, I want to see what kind of defense these guys are going to be running. I'm looking forward to, in spaces, me and Blake kind of go back and forth as far as, who you taking off the field whenever on the D-line. Huh? Yeah, that's me, baby. That's my background. But, man, honestly, kind of, defensive coach, I'm sorry, his name slipped my mind. What's his name? Matt House.
Matt House.
Matt House. Okay. So in his interview, he said, we kind of we're going to play to our strengths. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're going to be multiple. I don't know for sure. But, in the past, they've ran the 3-4. He's ran the 3-4. But I think this team right now, currently the D-line, which is our strongest unit on defense, is built for 4-3. Whenever I'm looking at this, man, going across, I mean, you're going to have Alligator at the 5, Mason Smith at the 3, Jaquelin Roy at the 1, and BJ Ojulari at the 6. That's nasty, bro. And then I mean, you're three deep, you're 3 to 4 deep, at every single position on that D line. So I can't wait to see him, man. I can't wait to see those guys and hear the good stuff that's coming out of camp. And hopefully we can stay healthy. That's gonna be the biggest part.
Yeah, I think what the thing I'm looking most forward to is that offense and what Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly do with all the weapons that they've never really had before, bro. And with a quarterback that no matter who really wins the job. I know most of us think it'll be Jayden, but no matter who really wins the job, bro, you have a quarterback. You have all these weapons out there that the quarterback doesn't really have to do a lot, bro. He just had to let these guys, get the ball to them, let them do their thing. And
right.
And I think that with a guy like Jaylen, he just adds that extra dynamic with his legs. You know what I mean? A guy who can extend plays. And you know who he kind of reminds me of, bro? He reminds me of a guy the Saints trying to go after right now.
Okay.
Good transition. Let's go there.
All right.
Let's go there. Hey, I was gonna go. Can we talk some baseball? Can we? Nah, we good. We gonna
hold on that. Hold on that. Hey, but let's not ask Ant. Does the Saints have a chance? Do the Saints have a chance? Because we already know what he's gonna say.
I think that's changed.
I was just about to say my answer has changed now.
All right, because you hurt my feelings Friday when they was talking about this on Space.
See, it's a very fluid situation right here with DeShaun, and you got teams backing out. You got teams who aren't really trying to pursue him anymore. Okay. And like a couple of the teams who would have had better offers than us if they so had decided to put an offer in. But now that it's kind of down to us and the Panthers, from what it seems, this is what I was talking about. Where what helps the Saints is DeShaun Watson's no trade clause. Whenever it's down to just a few teams, I mean, the Saints are more. They're a better destination, you know what I mean?
Yeah, more
that's the word I was looking for. They're more appealing than Carolina is with some of the weapons and stuff that he'll have in New Orleans. So I think
how much you got to give up though?
That's the thing. From everything I've seen, it's mostly based off draft picks because the Saints don't have a lot of players they can give up. I saw 3 first-round picks is what I saw. And so, but that's tough. But at the same time, how many holes are on this team right now? You know what I mean? You don't have a lot of holes. So if you can get that quarterback position filled, then that solves a lot of your problems, bro.
Man, I think honestly, I think if you stick with Winston, you get a wide receiver in the second round, I think you'll be fine, bro. And I think you build your team that way. I think you'll be fine.
I'm not about that wide receiver. Hold on.
Yeah.
With Amari Cooper going to the Browns, Jarvis Landry is now able to seek a trade.
That's
I love Jarvis.
True.
I love
That's
Jarvis.
A good fit.
But let's not go there.
Why not? Because somebody, I think Chris mentioned it. You don't want another possession receiver.
Yes.
What receiver do you have now? You don't have a over the top. You don't have a across the middle.
Man,
he can run. Hey, Thomas can run a heck of a slant.
Listen, bro.
We know that,
bro. I've ran more slants this past season than Mike Thomas has ran for the Saints.
Let me say this,
man.
Let me say this. I could see the Saints going after Jarvis Landry, and let me tell you the reason why.
Okay.
You got Sean Payton gone, so you ain't a offensive first team no more. You're a defensive first team.
True.
And with Dennis Allen, his first hire that he made was Doug Marrone. So that shows me he wants to commit to the offensive line and to add a better running game to it. So going and getting another possession receiver fits that type of offense to where you're gonna be, run first, control the ball, and by going and getting to a bigger body, you already got Mike, but if you get Jarvis, another guy who's sure-handed on third down, drive, keep the drive moving type of guy, move the chains on third down type of guy.
We know his energy is contagious.
It fits kind of perfectly with that type of offense where you want to run the ball, you want to, short passing game and stuff like that, just to keep that, and let your defense be your main, kind of carry the team. So I can understand it, but me personally, if we're gonna go get an LSU receiver, let's go get that boy from your neck of the woods, dang.
Yeah, DJ Chalk.
Yes, sir.
But if we get another possession receiver like Jarvis, I mean, what's the difference between Jarvis and Mike Thomas? They both the same guys. One just bigger.
But that's
one is actually playing though. One is actually playing, and one
Mike's supposed to come back healthy though, right?
Supposed to.
But see, that's the thing. That's what I was just saying though, bro. Like everybody talking about taking the top off. That's Sean Payton offense, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but you still need somebody who can stretch.
Sean Payton did that when we had Devin Henderson and Robert Griffin. We took the top off.
I understand. That's my point, Chris. Sean Payton ain't here no more.
That's true. That is true.
So you got guys on this. You got Deontay Hardy who could take the top off. You know what I mean? You can re-sign Traquan Smith who could take the top off. So it's it's easier to sign a guy to take the top off, to find a guy that can take the top off, than it is to find a true sure-handed possession receiver.
You said it exactly right though. You said DJ Chark, he can do both. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, but you know the difference. DJ Chark won $20 million a year.
No, he ain't worth
it. He's coming off a broken ankle though.
I didn't say he worth it or he ain't worth it. I said that's what he asking for.
I understand he ain't worth it though.
But let me ask you this too though.
That don't mean somebody won't get
the mentality. Now you're right. The mentality of Jarvis Landry would fit perfectly with this Saints team because you do have a defensive-minded coach. You know what I'm saying? And man, we know Jarvis a dog. You know what I'm saying?
He's a great run blocker. So you can put him out there on that edge, and you know what I mean. And it fits what the Saints try to do on offense. That's what I'm saying.
I'll say this.
I can see that. I can see it. I can see it.
Fit.
We have.
They like running screens.
Well, let me look at this too. The last time, my bad, Pooh. I ain't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
The last who was the second best? No, the last second number 2 receiver that the Saints had that was good. Emmanuel Sanders, right? Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders ain't taking the top off nothing. You know what I mean? Emmanuel Sanders, that same possession type receiver, and him and Mike worked good together. So who's to say that him and Jarvis can't do the same thing? Now you still need a guy that can do that, but your number 2 receiver don't got to be the guy that can take the top off.
But what the best offenses in the league do? What they do?
That's the problem, bro. We ain't trying to be the best offense in the league because we ain't got an offensive-minded coach.
I tell you,
but you need to be up there around the top, though.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I've said this.
San Francisco San Francisco had an offense that take the top off?
They got Debo
don't.
Samuel.
Didn't they make the NFC Championship game?
Hey, Debo nice.
It's very true. Very good example.
So I'll say this, and I've said it before. Defense wins championship. Offense sells tickets.
No, it ain't that. It ain't it no more, bro.
Defense wins championship. Offense sells tickets.
That's always gonna be it. That's football, man.
Chris.
I hate to say it. I hate to bring it up, but 2019, what was our defense in the championship year?
They made plays when they made plays when they needed to.
They made plays when they had to.
They bend but don't break.
Our defense.
Look at the Rams. Look at the Rams this year. They
but I got
because
another
of that defensive line.
I'm gonna bring it back to LSU again. We had defense for like 6 years in a row. We never even got to an SEC championship until we got some offense.
That's a different. We didn't. So okay.
You still gotta have offense, but what I'm saying is you don't gotta be a top 5 offense in the league.
If you matter of fact, I give you Chris, I give you a perfect example, and this could go 2011. LSU's defense is probably the best defense we've ever seen, and they got to the championship.
Man, I cried.
And guess what? Happened? They ran into somebody else who had a really good defense, and that defense won the championship.
Damn you, Les Miles.
A little bit better.
Damn you, Oklahoma State.
50,
oh my God, Oklahoma! I still don't like Oklahoma State because of that.
Come on, man. You had one job.
We couldn't even get past the 50 without offense that game, though, bro.
Because somebody have a good defense. Look at Georgia. Look at Georgia this year. How good was their offense, or did that defense win them a national championship?
Middle of the pack. That was middle of the pack.
So that's what I'm saying. Their defense was top 3, top 5 in the country, though. That's why they won.
Best defenses ever. Yeah.
So, Chris, you brought up a good you brought up a good point talking about wide receivers blocking. If you look at Cincinnati, one of the best things they did, they blocked downfield. Those wide receivers blocked downfield, and that really opened that offense up. Because once you start seeing Jamar Chase blocking downfield, or once you start seeing T. Higgins blocking downfield, that I hate to say this, they probably the only ones that actually do block in Cincinnati. But once you see them blocking downfield, that opened like. That was like game changer. That was that. I know a lot of 10-yard runs turned into, or 5-yard runs turned to 10-yard runs, turned to 15-yard runs. And
it got a lot of practice squad guys on the field in NFL right now because they run block.
Yeah. So speaking, we were talking about DeShaun Watson. I hate to say this.
Can I say this too, bro, before you start?
Go ahead.
I said the same thing Ant said about your boy being similar to DeShaun, and it had a guy's face tell me I was like crazy. I was just stupid. I said I think DeShaun got a little bit more muscle, but they the same people. I ain't saying he's gonna be as good.
They in the same mode. They in the same mode for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So DeShaun Watson. We all know the kind of the backlash on him. Mm-hmm. Ironically, I was thinking, because it came up him going to Pittsburgh. I was like, Pittsburgh don't seem to have a problem with those kind of allegations. So Pittsburgh might be a place for him.
You ain't see the meme though. Whenever Pittsburgh said they wasn't pursuing him, somebody was like, "Oh, DeShaun Watson got exonerated, so he no longer fits the Pittsburgh quarterback culture."
Wow.
Hey, but they said they released. I seen a guy post on Facebook that the Saints got permission from the front office to pursue him. So that's a good sign.
They talk. But see, all right, since we're gonna bring up the baggage, I got a question. All right, so they got it's big baggage, but
that's an extra check.
He was proven innocent, though. I mean, is it?
Hold on. He wasn't technically proven innocent. He was exonerated because they didn't have enough evidence to bring charges. But my thing is, that's a legality thing, dog. I'm not gonna say.
I know
it's a legality.
I know,
thing.
but I'm gonna let you finish. But I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say, go ahead.
But yeah,
I'm sitting here like a kid. Look.
But
Okay,
all right, so my thing is, there's people saying that they don't want him as the quarterback of the Saints because of the accusations. And
All
look,
right.
I get it. I respect it. That's your opinion. That's your right. But if that's the hill you're gonna stand on, you also have to have that same energy toward Jameis Winston because he was accused.
Oh,
He was accused of things, and you got
And
hold on. You got a defensive end who went to jail that didn't even get drafted because of that and had to serve jail time. And the Saints sent a damn limo to excuse me for cussing. The Saints sent a limo
Sorry, mama.
to pick him up from jail. You know what I mean? So
right.
it's like how can
And
how can you be okay with Carl Granderson being
hold
on the
on.
team?
Let me
and Jameis
whisper.
Winston
Let me
being
whisper.
on the
Let me
team,
whisper this
Let me
real
say
but
quick.
not Deshaun
He
Watson.
stole crab legs too.
Let me say.
hey,
let me whisper this.
hey, but Pooh Bear.
Jameis got 2 of them.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like that's my
Two
point.
of
Like, how can you be okay with Jameis and want the Saints to re-sign Jameis, but don't want the Saints to trade for Deshaun Watson if that's the case? And people are saying, "Oh, well, Deshaun Watson's is recent," and I give you the more. I'll give you the more. But is quantity really the problem here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so if that's so serious to you that you don't want Deshaun Watson being here, then statute of limitations shouldn't matter, and Jameis being over 10 years
And
old
you,
shouldn't matter
and
to
you
you
gotta
either.
remember how. And you gotta remember how happy they was when we got Adrian Peterson after he was whooping his kids. They were so happy to get AP.
That's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah.
but my thing though is if you're gonna like, I respect your opinion. Do you know what I mean? To not want Deshaun Watson, that's perfectly fine. Just keep that same energy across the board and don't have a double standard based on, oh, well, his is more recent or his was more. You know what I mean? It should all be the same across the board. And it might not have to be the same, but it should at least be similar enough to where you don't want either one of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
You ready for this, Ant?
Go
You ready
ahead,
for
Pooh.
this? I'm not gonna necessarily stand on down the hill that I'm not going down the hill that he's innocent, the terminology innocent versus proven guilty. I mean, not guilty. I'm not going down that hill because I understand the legal terms behind it. But this man turned in 1,000 pieces of evidence or something like that, and they had 2 years to look through. Listen. I'm gonna say this. We've all got significant others, or we've all had significant others, or however you want to look at it. You give your woman 5 minutes, and she gonna find it.
But Pooh Bear,
I guarantee
30
you.
seconds.
I
guarantee you in 3 and hold on, last year was a leap year too, so it wasn't even 365 and 366. Either way, all them days. 10,000 pieces of evidence. They had all that time. Even if they took the holidays off,
but how many women too, Pooh Bear? How many women?
Bro,
Yeah.
oh my God.
22. Yeah.
Bro, they threw the Bill Cosby at this dude.
That's my thing, because I got daughters. I got
Deshaun
3
Watson,
daughters.
and I understand that Deshaun
got
Watson
one.
was not trying to buy an NBC, so we can get off. I'm not gonna go on the conspiracy theory and say that.
This my thing, bro. This my thing. All right, I got daughters, so I don't want nobody to sit up and say I'm defending this man. All right, because by any means I'm not. Do I think that he is completely innocent and didn't do anything? No. You know what I mean? I think that you don't have 22 people come out and not be there. You know what I mean? But my thing about it is I don't think there's anything criminal that he did wrong. I think he did some maybe questionable, like, hey, that's kind of, out of bounds. You know what I mean? Like that kind of
massage. Can you massage right here?
I don't know if anything that he did was criminal. Now, he definitely did some things that, hey, I don't approve of, I wouldn't agree of, I wouldn't do myself, you know what I mean? But at the same time, bro, like, we can't sit up here and say, oh, everybody deserves due processes and all this kind of stuff. And whenever the situation plays out and it don't work out in your favor, to have a problem with it. Like, he had his day in court. His day in court proved that he shouldn't be charged for anything. So that's what it is. He's not charged with anything. So at this point, he didn't do anything.
Let me also ask you this though.
Okay.
If you're gonna accuse this man of doing this, right? Women, in this case, what's gonna happen to them? Because this does happen a lot.
I agree. But see, I think we need to make
I
this
tread lightly on that
clarification too.
one.
We need to make this clarification too. Let's not this wasn't a criminal case from the get-go.
Yeah.
This was a civil complaint that was being investigated criminally. You see what I'm saying? Like that's two different things. These women didn't go to the police and file, charges and do a police report and all that kind of stuff. They went to a lawyer, and the lawyer filed a civil suit. And based off that civil suit, the DA and the prosecutor, they presented a case to the grand jury based off that. So it's not the same situation as some.
So were you trying to get money or did you want justice?
I'm not getting into that, but
I hate these kind of situations.
I hate these situations too, especially because there's so many real situations out there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That some of these things hurt. They hurt the chances of the real cases getting justice because of situations that aren't actually real and these fake charges.
For every Darren Sharper, there's a Brian Banks.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
And we can leave it at that, bro. And we can leave it at that.
Listen, fellas, we started with Will Wade. I am not finna end on DeShaun Watson. So let's talk.
Can we end on a happy note? You know what I mean?
Let's do this. I'm gonna do this, man. And then we can move on to something else. Or move on in closing. So. Doors of the church are open. I'm gonna go ahead and start with that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all come to the front of the congregation.
Oh my God.
It's altar call, baby.
Yeah. So Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay. All that he bought. Listen, I live probably about an hour and a half from Nashville. The big story was he bought a house in Nashville. What's the quarterback? What's the quarterback in Nashville?
Ryan Tannehill.
Hey, I'm talking about they had packed this bag. Look, a U-Haul was out there. I'm talking about it was the moving two men in a truck was out that thing. They was getting ready to move Tannehill out of there. And he's staying in Green Bay for $200 million.
That'll make me
$153 million guaranteed.
That'll make me stay too. Hey, y'all seen that him and his old lady got back together after he got
it's
that
cheaper
bag.
To keep her.
Right.
She came back. She said, "Oh, you got how much? Oh, okay.
Say it again.
I forgive you.
It's cheaper to keep her."
So hey, but not only do you got one quarterback in the NFC staying, you got one quarterback in the NFC going.
Boom.
Where's Devontae Adams going though?
Devontae Adams staying.
Devontae Adams ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
Y'all think they're gonna sign him?
Yeah. So
but Russell
Wilson.
Then we gotta get a quarterback soon because Tom Brady's back. So we're gonna do
I forgot. I was not gonna bring that up because we just said we was gonna end on a happy note. Thanks, Chris. Thanks.
Bro.
But yeah, Tom Brady decided he was coming out of retirement. He been in retirement a whole 2 months. Yeah, I don't know if y'all listen.
Man, we ain't worried about no Tom Brady, man. Come on, bro.
Listen, Tom Brady.
We got to get DeShaun Watson.
Come on, bro.
So they went.
They went to the store.
They went to the store. Him and Giselle. Giselle told him. She said, "Look, we get in this store. Don't touch nothing. Don't look at nothing. Don't think about getting nothing." And Tom was like, "I'm going back to the NFL." So that's what happened. And Russell Wilson to Denver. Congratulations.
He like being home, bro. Yeah.
No, that's what it was, bro. What it was normally this around the time when he go back to getting ready for the next season. But now he at home getting on Giselle's nerves. So she said, "Well, bro, you can go back and play for a few more years because this is what you're gonna be like."
She getting on his nerves.
Hey, with Russell going to Denver, y'all look out for your boy Jerry Jeudy to wake up.
Who they OC? Because if the OC still there, I don't care who you put there.
This what happened. They just hired Nathaniel Hackett, the OC from Green Bay, and they hired Green Bay's quarterback coach as their OC because they was trying to make him play for Rodgers.
Okay. All right.
Man, we know how them Bama wide receivers are, bro. We know how they are.
One
ain't gonna have that
one just went for a 5th and a 6th, so they must not be too good.
Not too good.
No, don't even make me bring that argument back.
Please, bro. If you say that, I promise I will end this thing right now. I will press every button I got. If you ever come in here and say a mark, no man, I ain't gonna even.
Don't even repeat it, bro. Don't even repeat it.
We will lose all credibility.
So we've come to the part of the show where we all don't want, because you know what I'm saying, we enjoying this talk. But we've come to the part of the show where it's time to end this thing. And any closing words, Daniel? I'll start with you.
Man, follow your boy on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? At @DWilliams_97. I look forward to having more conversations with these great gentlemen here. And man, y'all have a good week. Go Tigers!
All right.
Yes, sir. Right. This is the first of many, so y'all be sure to subscribe, give us a like, follow everybody on Twitter, follow the Geauxlden Boot Podcast on Twitter, go like us on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere, and be on the lookout for more good stuff coming your way, man. We're gonna keep it fun, we're gonna keep it fresh, and we're gonna keep it facts.
All right,
for the most part.
Chris, what you got for us?
Just want to say I appreciate you guys for allowing me to be on here. Little rural country guy, not good of a vocabulary, you know what I mean? Sorry about the connection issues. I had to run my fiance to the doctor. She was feeling bad, so I kind of lost connection and stuff. So y'all say a little prayer for her. So we're gonna continue to get this thing rolling, y'all. So y'all check in with us. Follow me on Twitter.
We're gonna get you a SAT book. Hey, and if you follow Chris on Twitter, I'm gonna let you know his page is locked. He said he was gonna unlock it by after church today.
Big C.
He don't even go to church, so he was lying in and he lying out.
Man, I do go to church, dude. I missed today though. I
told you. What did I say?
He's atheist.
Okay.
Look, but Pooh Bear, look. I don't think it's right. I went to a party last night.
Oh Lord.
Me going back to church, I feel like
that's what you supposed. That's when you supposed.
You can go to a party, but you can't go see Jesus.
Right?
Listen,
you repent.
I'm gonna just say
I don't miss often though, bro.
He missed today.
Jesus,
but you miss after you go out there doing all that sinning last night.
Oh my God.
Listen, Jesus accepts all strippers and prostitutes. Jesus accepts strippers and prostitutes. Chris, I don't see you twerking or selling nothing, so you can go to church. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now,
you right.
So I do want to say this, man. Shout out to Daniel. You came up with the idea of us getting together and doing this a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, man. And I appreciate the idea. You know, I didn't think we would get this together this fast, but I appreciate that. Aunt Chris, you know, saying y'all agreeing to do this. We taking this time out. Blake Ruffino, Are You Serious Sports? We appreciate
shout out.
Your
huge
help.
Shout out. Huge shout out.
Our
Mr.
logo.
Rob Van Dam himself.
No, he's a Greek Adonis. Remember, he's
potato building.
Bro, when Blake did that Rob Van Dam stuff on his show, bro, I was dying laughing, man. I don't know about y'all, but that was funny to me. I don't care, bro.
Hey, y'all, Chris got ADHD if you haven't noticed, but go ahead, Pooh, my bad.
But I want to shout out to the guy who did our logos, Rick Saber, man. I appreciate you, man, for getting back to us real quick with that. And the beat, you know,
my boy Delonte Lee on the beat. Appreciate you, fella.
Man, I truly appreciate that because that came through in the clutch. Two people who influenced me to do a podcast. My homeboy Kendrick Wooten, Wooism podcast. You know, you showed me that, hey, you know what I'm saying, if you got a passion for it, you want to talk, get out there and talk. Then the Dummies podcast, Stock, Joe, Todd, Hootie. You know what I'm saying? Y'all came out there and y'all were like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Y'all put up a product in a blueprint to show, you know what I'm saying, what it was like. So I appreciate y'all.
Shout out
family
Carter.
And friends.
Shout out Carter Power Hour too for always coming in and kicking it with us.
TA also.
Yes.
TA
Tigers Avenue podcast. Yeah, for sure.
AD, you know what I'm saying? The people in spaces. You know what I'm saying? I can go on Nurse Court, you know what I'm saying? Old Danny Girl.
My boy Sean. I want to kick a shout out to my boy Sean Fox, who be on with Blake sometimes. He was real big and influential to me and getting me into finally talking some sports.
Best friend Patton. Y'all got to give it up for him.
Anyway,
talk.
Anyway.
You know what? I'm gonna say this.
Wanna talk some baseball?
We had some baseball talk. They won this weekend. They went undefeated this week.
We'll talk about them next week when real baseball gets started.
We'll talk about them in spaces tonight.
We'll talk about them when. Yeah, we'll talk about them when nothing happens.
When it's a slow day.
Slow day. Listen, it picked up quick this week. But again, family, friends, loved ones. Thank y'all.
We
and with
appreciate
that, you know what I'm saying? Again, hey, go follow us on Twitter at the Geauxlden Boot. Go follow us on Instagram.
Cheese on your funny buns.
That dude there killing me. ADHD.
Squirrel.
Go follow our page on Facebook, the Geauxlden Boot Pod, and find us on YouTube at the Geauxlden Boot Pod. So that's it for the night, for this week. We'll be back next week. We'll appreciate y'all. We out.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.